Well, hey, y'all. Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon here from the Mississippi Live Weather Center. As we are obviously very, very humbled by the fact that so many people were so eager to download the app and support us over the course of the last 24 hours. And certainly you've supported us over the last long period of time. We'll do the full, I think, studio tour coming up here a little later on today. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually start off by obviously saying thank you and doing something maybe a little bit more informal. We have the ability to kind of do the same kind of informal stuff we were doing before. But I want to, if you give me a moment here to kind of get my stuff all figured out, want to kind of do a talk through related to, what I mean, the app and things like that, and try to answer some of your questions. So I do have behind me here, and for lack of a better way to describe it, what we call master control. I have this thing set to follow me, so let me take that off for a moment. A place where I can, in fact, see your questions and things up there. So I will try to answer some of those. But I think we have kind of the opportunity here to talk about the app and some things, and just sort of talk through how things work and hopefully answer some of your questions related to that. Because, obviously what we have, I'll go ahead and try to pan this up here a little bit more so it stays on me. But, it'll be the most useful if we can kind of explain what everything is sort of capable of. So give me a moment to pull it back up behind me here. I had a second ago, and then I have all my phones set to go to sleep after a short period of time, and clearly that happens. So give me just a moment here to get my screen share going, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna download the app kind of right here in front of you onto my. I had to delete it, so that we could go through the process for anybody that may be struggling to kind of get in contact with us that way or get that all set up. So give me a moment for that to load behind me here as we got screen mirroring, and we'll kind of walk through this together. Um, and so one of the things I do want to also say is I just want to say thank you. There's been such incredible support um, beyond. I mean, I think we figured that there'd be people that'd be interested in this, but kind of beyond what we expected. And the very fact that we are at least on the iOS, the number one downloaded top weather app right now is just incredibly humbling. And so I just, thank you all so much for that. It really is above and beyond what I mean. that again, I'm gonna try really hard not to always be talking about God stuff, but it's an important part of my life, and it's just, God did it. Nothing I have done here happened because of me. It all happened because of Him. So in saying that, again, thank you so much for placing us, at the very tip top of the list there. I'm going to download this. We're going to talk through some of the things. There's some very obvious things with this app, but one of the things I was reminded of this morning by my son is he wanted to download the app, and he looked over. He's like, "Dad, are there widgets?" And I'm like, "Yeah." There actually are widgets, and it's one of the many things that I'm just so proud of about this app and its capability. So I'm going to kind of pull it up behind me here, and as you're going through this, there's some things you want to make sure you enable in order to get the most out of what this app is capable of. So obviously allowing the location alerts, and it's going to pop up from time to time. I've been testing this for a while. It's going to say, do you want to allow this to keep tracking you and where you're at? I would say yes. You make that determination. Obviously it's going to be most accurate on its alerts if it's able to do that. But you can also set it for a specific spot, and it'll just keep alerting for that location as well. We'll talk about adding and deleting some of those spots coming up as well. So you do want to allow it to send you notifications, things like that. Um, I'm usually really good about reading terms and conditions. I can tell you right now, we're not selling your data or doing anything like that with it. And we don't, oh, look at that. So that's, I think, an important point right off the top there. If we are live, it's right there at the very top of the app. So there's no question where are they at? We're right there on the app if we're live. And my little gizmo here is trying to figure out which mat is it supposed to look at. But it is, there's a little bit of a delay there, right? So that's one thing to keep in mind. There's about a 30 or 40-second delay from when I do it to when it shows up on there. And even in TV, there's a little bit of a delay as well once it goes through all the processing equipment and coding, especially if you start talking about, cable and satellite. Over the air antenna is, there's no question, still the fastest. Absolutely. This is pretty swift, and this is going to continue to get faster as we're able to kind of continue working on things there. So I think we're getting that picture-in-picture effect starting to show up. Anyway, um, first thing I would recommend doing when you get this app open is you hit the little gear icon in the upper right hand corner. So let's do that. Let's touch on a few things there. So first thing, okay, never mind. That's I'm gonna have to sort through some of this as well. So give me a moment. I thought that was where I need to go. Okay, yeah. So you want your current location first set up there and make sure alerts are enabled on that. You can add multiple locations to that. You can just hit the plus button to add locations if you want to specifically put it in there. But notice there are just a lot of alerts for you to enable here. Um, I will be the first one to tell you I have in the past, and this is not being disparaging to anything. First thing I always did, I always turned off lightning alerts. But my phone also, ends up making lots of noises when I'm on during severe weather. Um, the lightning alert radius on this is 10 miles. And that means either direction you are from you, 10 miles, you'll get alerts if there's lightning in your area. I feel like that's a little more useful than the one before, which had a wider radius. We tried to get the vendor to change that. They never would. It is what it is, and that's not me disparaging it, but that is to say that I will probably have lightning alerts on this here, and the heavy rainfall alerts tend to be a little more prompt as well. There are individual like specific alerts that I can send out for, hey, we're live and doing some of that. Once we get the workflow figured out, I'm gonna do a lot more of that kind of stuff. But I would encourage you to enable some of those alerts right away. Hold on a second. My son, who's down here, because of course this is kind of a family deal, I think went to the restroom and got himself locked out. You good? You good? Okay. Let me come on over here. Um, okay. So I mean, I'd say you do this part here. That's obviously the big first thing to do. Oh, it wants me to save that location. That's fine. Um, Anyway, I think you can edit your location if you want to turn off certain alerts, right? And say you have it only monitoring the one spot. There's a little arrow there to the left. If you tap that arrow, you can click. I mean, obviously, you can make it the default. That's where the star is there if it's not the right spot. But you hit the edit button, and you can go through here and turn off whatever alerts don't make any sense. Now, I know one of the things that people loved, I loved about the other app was the my voice, saying different things. That is unfortunately not an option on this one at this point. I've talked to the vendor, the developer on this. That is something that they are aware of and hopefully interested in. So we'll see. Now, give me a moment here because I'm doing this on multiple phones, and the phone we have right here, the battery power is starting to, it tells me it's low battery. So give me just a moment here as I'm going to have to plug it in. Hey, Leo. Would you bring me the charge cable? I know that means you're not going to be able to be plugged in, but I need to plug in here. Can I have your charge cable, please? I need your charge cable, please. There's always something, especially when using devices like this. And that's one thing I kind of mentioned this last night. Thank you, Leo. Um, that I appreciate all patience as we kind of go through this process because there's going to be a learning curve on a whole variety of things. Oops, that this again, especially when you're using gizmos like this, there's going to be kind of a learning curve on certain things. Let me see if that's actually plugged in and working. That doesn't want to plug. Wow, there's always something. So I don't think that's charging. Okay, well that's fun. Hold on a moment. I should have gone live from my real phone. Well, the beauty of this is that I can, if you give me a moment, yeah, hold on a second. If you don't mind, I'm going to switch cameras here for a second, and I'm going to get a different thing up. So give me, if you'll bear with me for just a moment, I'm going to keep this going and put you on the 24-hour weather channel. I'm going to switch phones, and I'll be back in just a second. So give me just a second here to do that. That's one of the cool things. Okay, check, check, check. We should be back. Um, so I apologize for that. But that's one of the cool things. There's going to be some redundancies here that we did not previously, don't typically, I guess, have access to, that we're going to be able to kind of execute here. So give me a moment. I'll see if I can pull up the new app on the other phone and attempt to, do it backward from where we had a second ago. I won't have the fun gizmo that keeps everything evened out. But we'll try to talk about this. So give me a moment to go through that. So let me see if I can get this to connect to the TV. Screen mirroring. There you go. And now we're back to where we were before. Okay, so let's go App Store. I don't think I have it downloaded on this one here. Continue. And apps. And I'll just search here. If it, in this near future is not on the top of the list, which is entirely possible, it should just be able to search for MISSISSIPPILIVE. And it should be, there you go, right toward the top. So let's download that and continue on. So again, there's some flexibility with what we do here. It's not going to be perfect as we kind of go through this and learn this, but it's going to get better, and that's a huge part of what I'm excited about here. Okay, so that is ready. Let's pull it open here, and I guess if you missed some of that initial stuff, we'll click allow. Click allow while using apps. Yes, I'm going to let you send me notifications. As if we need more beeping going on, we do severe weather coverage, but that's clearly what's going to happen here. Okay, so again, the that's at the top there. If you want to choose a different location, you can either type it in, or you can just go really anywhere on the map. And say I wanted to be up here in Omaha for a couple days, I just press and hold on the map, and it will show up. I know what I was going to say. Give me a moment here. If you click the three bars in the upper left hand corner, let me go back there again. Three bars in the upper left hand corner, and you go down to alerts, it will list any alerts that are active for your area, which is good. Give me a moment here to figure out, and I'm going to have to navigate a few things with you here because I've enabled things over time, and I have to figure out how I re-enable those. Okay, so we've got the alerts. Oh, I know what it is. Okay, so one thing that I recommend is if you go to like the interactive radar, you should be able to from here, change a bunch of different things that I think are really cool, right? So if you go to the interactive radar, which I think is I think it's very high resolution, and I'm very happy with what we put together. One of the cool things is you'll have to enable, again, using that gear in the upper right hand corner. You'll have to enable overlays and alerts on there. Unfortunately, it does not natively have like the severe thunderstorm warnings, tornado warnings. You'll get the alerts for them, but they won't necessarily show up on the map. So you do have to go in there and click alerts. And I'm going to put this back up in the gizmo. So I apologize if this kind of move around for a minute here while it stabilizes and does its thing. But I think the reflection there is a little too rough. I'd much rather just get it right on this. There we go. Okay. The reflection's still a little rough anyway, like that, but you can at least kind of see it a little better. So, so the alerts, you'll want to enable those so that you can see where, severe thunderstorm warning, tornado warning, stuff like that are. Lightning, things like that. If you want that kind of stuff on there, it does do obviously hurricane cones, spaghetti models, all kinds of stuff. Some things you could get before, some things you couldn't get before there. So pretty cool. You can change, the background, all that kind of stuff. You could do that before. But on the data end, and this is one thing that is exclusive to this area that I'm very, very proud of, is you can put in the high resolution radar for both central Mississippi and northeast Mississippi. What that means is when we're tracking it on TV, we'll talk about the radar out of Monroe County. I'm going to show you that, we don't have anything on radar right now, so it's not going to be as obvious. But if I put that northeast Mississippi radar, which is the one down in Monroe County, you'll see lots of green, lots of blue here. Obviously, there's nothing out there now. If I were to go back and show you just the regular radar data here for a moment, you'll see there's nothing out there. Well, which is it? Well, there's nothing out there. But what you're looking at, if you want to,
is the highest resolution radar available here. And it's same stuff we can look at on the air. It's a slightly different color table, but same stuff we can look at on the air. So this is as high resolution and as fast as you can get it really anywhere. So really excited the fact that we can actually offer what we call level 2 radar data on here. It's very high resolution and it makes the storms look as precise as they can. And so to get to that, if that's something that interests you, the gear in the upper right hand corner, you can select the different radars. You can select, I mean, obviously a lot of other things. One of the cool things here is you can also select those county and state power outage maps, which apparently there are at least a limited number of people here in the Lee County area at this point without power. Luckily, we're not one of them. But you can pull up this power outage maps to kind of get an idea. This data tends to run a little bit slower than what the individual electric power cooperatives will have on their sites. But it does give you an idea of, hey, my power's out. Is this something that's widespread? You can click on this and it will give you an idea on that. So that is on the map, basically. For lack of a better way to put it, the radar. You can go in there and you can kind of select that, the different power outages and stuff like that. But you also can look at forecast snowfall accumulations. And one thing that I always taught interns, as well as we discussed at my previous place, was how little I liked talking about snowfall accumulations beyond really 24 to 48 hours out. Well, you can get information on that in here now, and we're going to be more open, especially in later segments of our broadcast, to talk about that long range, gossipy sort of stuff, and hopefully cast an informative light on it. Not just we're not trying to stir things up. That is not good. I understand hits are important. Engagement is important. That's not what this platform is going to be about. We know that you have trusted us for a long period of time to shoot you straight. And that's something that we continue to plan on doing as part of this. Anyway, so there's a lot of cool things on here you can pull up. I wonder if there's no snow out there anywhere at this point. So can't pull up anything on that. But forecast precipitation like rainfall, you'll notice that is on here as well, readily accessible to you. So showing that, there's some spots out there in New Mexico of all places, where they're looking at between half inch and an inch and a half worth of rainfall out there. Unfortunately, you can't query the data, meaning you can specifically touch it and get what that pixel means, but you get the idea. It gives you kind of a rough idea over the next 24 hours what is the forecast precipitation, and models are only always just so good. They're not necessarily over the top. So lots of cool stuff on here. It has future radar, but one of the things I like as far as the radar is concerned, just on the current radar, I'm going to go back to the national radar for this for a moment. And let's go look out here, for example, this severe thunderstorm warning will pop up here in a second once I click on it. Excuse me, special marine warning. That's what essentially a severe thunderstorm warning over water is. And so it'll pop up, this here. It says Gulf of America. And speaking of that point, obviously Gulf of America is the name, but I get yelled at if I say Gulf of Mexico or Gulf of America at this point. We'll largely probably say Gulf as to not make either side mad. The reality is that is the name as dictated by the government. So there you go. And I'm still trying to relearn that, so I will still let Gulf of Mexico slip. 40 some years of learning something, it takes a while. And for those of you that are like, well, it's been named that for a while. I've been building this for a while, so I haven't really been thinking about geography. I'll get better about geography, I promise. Anyway, you click that exclamation point there, and it will give you the full readout of whatever that alert is. From the same stuff that we would be able to get behind the scenes and look at from the Weather Service there, talking about location, time, impacts down here. Like this one at the bottom says water spout possible out of that. So you can get all of that information. You just tap there on the map. And one of the cool things, let me see if I don't know if I've enabled that on overlays. Okay, so on overlays, there's something called storm tracks. And I don't always agree with this, but you can actually get specific storm tracks for specific storms for you using this as well. So I click on that storm tracks there, go back, and let's see if we've got one that's showing up someplace. I'm not really seeing any. Hold on. Make sure I got the right thing enabled here. There's so many parts of this that I want to make sure I got the right thing. I think it should be storm tracks. We might not have any storms strong enough out there right now. Hold on. I'm going to do what every IT engineer tells you to do. We're going to take it, we're going to close it, and we're going to reopen it. There we go. And we'll see if it's on there at that point. Tap on that and see if the storm tracks aren't on there. I'll have to look into that. There's a setting in there, and I'm sure somebody out there knows better than I do, where you can't, where it will basically tell you a storm track, kind of like what we show on TV. It is not always. I don't always exactly agree with everything on it, but I think it's a pretty cool thing, and yeah, I'm excited to be able to show that kind of stuff. So anyway, that kind of breaks down most of what you have on the radar portion of this here. I mentioned the future radar, and you can kind of see at the bottom there, it uses kind of an extrapolation method to extend things forward, right? So this is the current data where you see there at the bottom, there's your data. And so if you want to move it to a specific time, you just kind of scroll it back and forth, and you can get the certain time. And then to see where it's going from here, it then uses extrapolation data to figure out, where it's going at about the same time there. So it doesn't develop new stuff in that situation, but it does give you kind of a rough estimate. There are better models for longer term, but I think it's a one way that, if you can't do the actual storm track, you don't have an actual storm track showing up on that specific storm, it can give you kind of an idea on where it's going from here. There we are. Okay, I just didn't have any storms impressive enough. Okay, so we're up here around Omaha. There's this little arrow that shows up, right? If you tap on that arrow, see if I can tap just on it. There we are. It'll pop up with a weird name, Storm U6, whatever. The point is it gets the speed on it. And if you tap that info, it will give you information about this. So it will tell you nerdy stuff that maybe you don't care about, like the top of that storm is 17,000 feet. Chance of hail is 20%. And then some other information there. But it also gives how fast is the storm going. And then the other information here tells you that it's put a storm track on it for about 60 minutes. And so in that, it gives you an idea of how long until it would get to different locations. And you can filter it if you happen to be a big spot, but obviously we've got a lot of small spots around here. And so kind of the cool thing is it will tell you, oh, well, based on where, of course, that the box is on that. We'll zoom in. I'll show that here in a moment again. How long until it gets to your location? Now, I've played with this a lot this spring. I think it does an okay job. I think it does a lot better job than not having any information at all. I think we do a better job with this on air, and I would obviously recommend, going with the numbers we say on air. But if we, for one reason or another, aren't on, you happen to be someplace else around the country, you can tap on the little arrow on the storm track there, and it will kind of give you, and I'm going to bring it in a little closer so maybe you see it a little better. It'll give you, that kind of information. So there's a little square that shows up. I'm gonna click something else to make it go away. But that little square there, see if I can tap that. Come on. I can't get it with my thumb. There we are. That pops on the screen, and then you hit the I, and now you have storm track information for your location. So I think that's a really cool feature. Again, the time is, has done a pretty good job. But if for whatever reason the radar kicks out because this is automated and it gets the arrow on, like I would argue that this probably should go maybe a little more south of that. But that's part of the reason when it puts on the arrows on it, you end up, hold on. Gotta stop tap too many things. There we go. Tap the square. There we are. And then tap the eye. The arrow on it, when you look at it, it gives you an idea, gives some error related to that. So you'll have to, to a certain extent, you can use your best judgment. This is an example when that extrapolation, I think, goes a little too far east, but you just get the general idea of, generally speaking, will be there. I think that's an incredibly cool feature and hopefully something that y'all will enjoy. One of the things I was really excited about this. But then, of course, you can get to all the other stuff. And I don't necessarily have to go thing by thing through all of these different things on here. But, one of the elements, if for one reason or another, you need to forecast really quickly. Hi, Penny. That go and leave that open or you're going to get locked out. Thank you. So one of the things that's cool is you can just go on here and you get that latest forecast update right there. We'll have a text, description of it. But all the other information, right here as well. We've had a great a guy here in town named Michael Gann helped me design the website. He did a spectacular job. But lots and lots of good information on there as well, including all the sky cams that we're partnering with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers to show. And one of the really cool features with this, and we were able to submit pictures on the other thing, but the pictures on here had a phone alert come through my phone. The funny thing is it was do not disturb on my phone turning off, and then it did that. So thank you, do not disturb. Okay, so we should be back. We should be good. I'm gonna make this put that away. Okay, sorry about that. One of the cool things though, if you take a picture with your phone, it goes right into our weather system. And so it makes it a lot easier to take your weather pictures, especially during severe weather, and get them on the air. That has in the past been a little bit of a difficulty. That is something that will largely be really, really kind of figured out. Because the cool thing is that if you send in your picture, then we can find out generally speaking about where it came from, and so it's a lot easier to say, oh, there's that picture, there it came from there, and then we can kind of figure out and use it on the air. So it's a really, really cool feature that I'm excited about on this is the submit pictures feature right from the app. And so I think that's going to be a huge help when we do our severe weather coverage there. We are working on a system, and it's going to go to nothing here, where we're going to be able to hopefully have school closings, things like that. When we get the winter weather, administrators, we will have a discussion with you at some point on the way in which this is going to work. But we're really excited as that development is currently underway to be able to do school closings. When we get the winter weather, obviously, and potentially stormy weather as well. We will have a system that in place that we think can handle that. But clearly, we're still in that time of year where that is not the case. And then, of course, a storm shelter list. Appreciate Craig Cece, among many other people around the region who have sent us your lists of locations that we've compiled. That we appreciate that. So that information is in here as well. And to that point, one of the coolest things, I'll get into. Let me see this. Give me a moment. I'll get into this kind of stuff. As we start talking about the bells and whistles of everything. Give me a moment to kind of come over here. One of the coolest things about this new system is I have the ability now to put in the times of arrival, for lack of a better way to put it, for when these storms are going to get to your storm shelter, right? Or to the area storm shelters. So make sure I could close my program, reopen it to make it do this right, because it's something I have to specifically enable. So give me just a moment to show this off, because I think this is I think this is one of the coolest features. Okay, I want city shelters. Press continue. Okay, I'm gonna reopen my program here. Give me a moment for my radar program to open back up. As you can see behind me, a Windows sort of screen. Okay. There we go. We'll hit analysis. Give me a second here as I'm trying to look past you for a moment. Unfortunately, at this point, the app is not. I have not looked at a lot of your comments, and so I apologize for that. I will try to look through those as we kind of wrap things up here in a minute. I'm trying to kind of cover as much as we can before that, but I wanted to show this because I just think this is the coolest thing. Okay, so we've got this set up to where when we do a storm track on this, right? Let's do a little storm track there. And I need to enable one more thing on this. Give me a second. Let's clear that off. I say that. I'll make sure I got this turned on right. Okay. There we go. So one of the cool things is, as this is going through in this particular spot there, it will pull up the area storm shelters that are on that list, right? So anytime a storm is going to be heading towards, say, the storm shelter in Woodland, Chickasaw County, or west of Sparta, or north of Sparta there, you'll see a triangle and then the time of arrival on that. Now, that's not going to be something that I have to enable when we know we're going to have severe weather. But the cool thing about that is that means that if you're in one of these shelters, and I mean, where are you going to be watching us in that case? You're not going to be watching us on big TV. You're going to be watching us on the app. Then you will be able to know that okay, well, it's going to get to that location at 10:50 or that location 10:48. So all those shelters in that list we have populated on here. So you will then know when it's coming towards your storm shelter. So if you're sitting there and you're going, I don't want to get in there. I want to sit in my car, which Wouldn't necessarily recommend, but real life is real life, right? Um, so okay, I've got current time's 10:39. I've got 10 minutes until it gets to Sparta, right? Um, the least safe place that you can be in a tornado is obviously a car. So we don't want you driving, but we understand things happen. And so you at least have a generalized, not perfect, but a generalized idea on how long it's going to take until you get to the specific storm shelter. So I think that is one of the coolest features of this new system. We will dig into all the things this does at a different time, but I didn't want to miss this opportunity to kind of tell you one of the things that I'm just the most proud of on this. So let me see if I can get it to pop back up over to this. There we go. The technology and getting used to this technology is going to take me a little while because it's substantially different. When you have alerts that are sent out for your area, those alerts are going to come in here. If you give me a moment, we'll come back over here and I'll show you just how quick these alerts are. Because the funny thing about this is, because this is on about a 40-second delay, when I send you this alert here, and I'll just send you kind of a alert to say, hey, the app is working. Hopefully doing all right. Give me a moment here to do this. Let's do that. Perfect. And I'm going to say, this is your test message. Okay. Let me zoom it out here. So you will end up, y'all, we'll have a discussion on this here in a minute because this is unbelievable. I can't believe how many of y'all downloaded this app. It is very humbling. If I haven't said that enough, it is. Okay, so I don't think I have a specific, guys, this is incredible. Okay, I don't think I have a specific location checked on this here. No, actually, I do think 9:35 a.m. Okay, no. So I haven't sent this out. Okay. So I'm going to, I think we've got this all set up, right? Right? See if we can send this message. Give me a moment to do this. I have done only a couple of these test messages. So I've got the kind of cool interface here. I'll show you this while I'm figuring this out. One of the cool things, and I don't know who you are, but it does show me all around the people. Golly, y'all, that's incredible, and I have no words. Okay, but it is very quick when it sends the message. So I'm gonna have to flip it around here so I get my login information right. And I apologize that this is taking me a minute as I'm again working through this as well. But I appreciate y'all going through this journey with us. I think I have to put in my password. Hold on. Okay, I think that's correct. This is my test message. I think that's it. Well, that's underwhelming, isn't it? All mobile only. Whether it's not want me to do it in a minute here. I'll send one here in a minute. I should have double checked how to do that before before I did it. Anyway, like I said, there's going to be some growing pains, but I just like the fact that this many people here have this is incredible, and the app push is extremely fast. So we might do that. We might try that trick with you here a little later. Not necessarily a trick, but feature. So anyway, when those alerts come out, those are all right here. So if you lose it, there you are. Where are you mainly pulling comments from being on multiple platforms? So I am able to, I have this here. There's this cool thing I'm working with called Restream, and so it kind of aggregates all of the comments in one spot. When we have, I'll show you kind of around this place a little later. yeah, eventually just kind of give you, I mean, I guess it's not rocket science what's going on here. But anyway, so that aggregates all the comments. So I'm not seeing a lot of those comments while we're talking at the moment here. But I will go through a few more of those here in a minute, try to answer some of your specific questions. I think that gives you most of what we have going on the app here. If you do click the support section and you do send something in, you can contact us. I can tell you I've gotten thousands of emails. So if I have not responded to you, and that includes a number of advertisers that are very interested, I'm not, it's me. I'm working to get some people, and I'm hopeful by the end of the day I'll have more people helping me with that. So I apologize that it's not going to be swift on me getting back with you. It has nothing to do with my desire to not get back with you or whatever. It's just um, we're a small operation that has grown very, very quickly because of you. And thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So anyway, I think that kind of summarizes this. If you don't mind, I'm going to attempt to look at some of your comments here and just see if I can answer some of because I'm imagining that you have a lot of questions. Okay, someone just said this. Would love to see you develop a Roku app at some point. The Roku app should drop later today. We have apps for Fire Stick, Apple TV, and Roku. I know I don't have a Fire Stick or Apple TV. I think technically I have an old school Apple TV, but we do have Roku at the house. And I searched this morning; it's not up on there yet. It should drop later today, and it will drop with the main feed that you're looking at here. It will also have secondary feeds. I think to allow you to see some of the Storm Chasers cameras and other things like that. So lots of cool stuff there. I'm looking over here to try to see. Wonder how you both get paid. Do you accept donations? We will probably soon have some kind of a what's what Patreon, if that is something you want to do. Payment, I'm hoping, will be through advertiser based because I believe that you, the viewers, I don't want y'all to have to pay. And I certainly am not going to have you pay when it comes to severe weather coverage. This will always be free because financial ability should not be a barrier to finding out if you're going to die. Period. I mean, if I lose the house because I made that statement and that decision and that choice, then it is what it is at that point, you know. But I have no intention of ever putting our severe weather coverage even remotely behind a paywall. Now we might have something up that we put up at some point that says if you want to donate, absolutely, we appreciate that. But we will not be charging for that. So initially here, I went out and did what a lot of small business owners do. I went out and got a loan. So I do have some money in the bank to pay the potential first employee that again I have to do some paperwork with here, and the next employee is commission based. After that, help me do some sales. The one after that I'm really excited for. I want to wait to announce until we've had an in-person discussion, but that person is in principle said they're going to help me. I think you're really going to like. And I have a few other people that I have my eyes on that I've had conversations with even today that are interested in joining this operation. So I do think we will grow fairly quickly. There will be costs involved in doing that. Certainly none of this came free. It was all very expensive, but it's worth it. And ultimately God has helped me at every step of the way. Let me look up here and see if I can try to catch up what you're saying here. So someone mentioned seeing us at Sam's. Yeah, there've been a lot of devices purchased over the last few months getting ready for this, and I've wired almost all of this up myself. So it is definitely a labor of love. But I'm very thankful to folks at CDF for helping me do this and being a part of this. So I really appreciate that. Current schedule, someone was asking, will be 5, 6, and 10 at exactly 5 o'clock, exactly 6 o'clock, exactly 10 o'clock. We're going to be live. We will be doing there'll be recorded updates that occur that are updated through the day on the channel, as well as the other locations as well. So I had a friend who was asking me, do I need an IT guy? I'm good on the IT end at this point, I think. Sales end is what we're working on. I think I have a guy for that. but certainly it's a lot. So 5, 6, and 10 initially. And then we will expand the mornings as staffing allows, perhaps midday, and obviously when there's severe weather. In saying that, the threshold at my old job, and largely will remain the same here, is life threatening severe weather and tornadoes. In saying that, the threshold's obviously lower. And if we are here and we think there's something that could become either of those things, we're going to do updates, and we might do shorter updates that aren't just the full sustained coverage. Again, because there's a limited number of bodies to go around here, um, then we um, definitely have to try to not stretch ourselves too thin. I've had a lot of folks asking, well, what about Central Mississippi? We'd love you to do South Mississippi, and that is absolutely on the roadmap of what we are hoping to do. God has opened the door to do the north half at this point here, and as staffing allows, we will expand. Because we do think that doing the whole state is important. That's the reason why, when we named it Mississippi Live Weather, not North Mississippi Live Weather, is we do think that we would like to cover the whole state at some point. But I'm not going to give less quality coverage to the people that have grown to expect it in order to grow size wise, if that makes sense. So I want to make sure that we are, as we grow, that we are doing so but maintaining quality, because you've come to expect that and you deserve a certain level of quality. So I do think at some point there. Will there be an app with your voice on it to warn us like the old app? Presently, my voice is not on this app, and I did mention this earlier. That is something we've talked to the developer with. That is something that hopefully we can make happen. It's not a day zero thing, but it is something that will be coming down the road. There's also been calls. There's also been questions about weather call. That is something that is not completely worked out at this point here. That is something that I can tell you one way or another, I'm going to still push you to weather call, whether it is my voice or someone else's voice on it. And if you're like, well, I'm not touching it if it's someone else's voice, let me say this. I have always pushed weather call, not because it was my voice, but because I still, even though at this instant, you know, I'm not officially, I do think that is something we will hopefully bring over here, but that is something that is not completely worked out at this point. But it's something that no matter who's associated with it, I think it saves lives. I believe that when I was in Texas before we moved here. I believe that when I was at the station, and I believe that now. And so, regardless of whose voice it is, I would highly recommend that you do not change it, do not cancel it, because I still believe, though this app is faster and maybe fast enough, that layers save lives. And so, having the alerts from the app, having weather call, having code red, having, all these different things, weather radio, I think are important, because if it all goes off at the same time, you're like, well, I guess something's going on. And if that's what's going through your brain, then now all you have to do is get to safety. So I do believe we will probably bring weather call along. I will either way keep promoting the service, because I think it's important regardless of whose voice is on it, and I would highly encourage you to keep it if you have it, and subscribe to it if you don't. So someone just said, how do we cancel WTVA weather call? If weather call moves with me, it will just move. There will be no cancellation that you need to do. So I would say this. I would not worry about weather call. I do think it's possible the voice on it could change for the next month or so. It will probably be my voice again in the future. But I would not touch weather call. I would leave it alone. I appreciate all the support you want to give me, and I would just very kindly ask that you don't change the weather call situation. You leave it as it is, one way or another. I think that will get straightened out soon, but don't cancel it. It is a life-saving alert. It is worth every penny. Um, don't change that. That is not a way I want you to support me. I want you to protect yourself, and so leave that alone. I think that'll get straightened out. Um, how do I get the app? Late coming in and I missed it. So the way in which you get the app, let's see if my audio stays over top of this here. So the way in which you get the app See, that's what I get for just clicking that. Hold on. Well, my audio wasn't in on any of that, unfortunately. Um, but so I don't know if I have one of these. Last night's show, I had it. Either way, what you do is I'll put it back up here in a second. I think I can load last night's show. Give me a moment, and then that I think has it with my audio over it. Copyright and stay delete. Hold on. I thought I had one with it in there. Give me a moment. There. Yes, here we are. Okay. Begin from here. There we go. Did I force the audio on? Yeah. Okay, we fixed that. Okay, I'm still learning the software that we're switching here as I'm working, but can you hear me now? So if you can hear me, say something in the chat. I'm looking at that over there. But this is the way to get it. The QR gives you a 404. That's not good. I will look into that. I thought we fixed the QR issue there. Let me look and see if that is. I got an idea. Hold on. So let's shot. Okay. So let me double check the Android QR here in my thing where I built this. Because I thought we'd fixed the 404 on the Android. Store, apps, details. Let's try this. Give me a second here. I should be able to flip. I don't know if I can flip this. And then if I don't flip this, let me think. Is this, can I read the, I can read the screen. Okay. So hold on. Let's try this for the Android folks. Again, this is not the prettiest way to do this, but that is on my screen there. If you can get a screenshot of that one should work. Either way, if you just search for Mississippi Live, it should show up. I checked this morning. So if you search for Mississippi Live, it should show up. So anyway, there. Hopefully you got that. I apologize that there were some audio issues there. Again, I'm still learning the best way to kind of handle this. And while I have built a lot of things, we're far from perfect on this. So I will have a conversation with Gabe. I have, contrary to what the website made it look like or everything else, I have not officially hired Gabe. I'm gonna have a conversation with him later today. Yeah, I don't want to get into a lot of stuff here, but his contract was up at the TV station. So I'm going to bring him on here to help me out. He and his wife are probably lifelong people here. His wife is a lifelong resident, went through the 2014 Tupelo tornado. So he wanted to stay. I don't want to get into all the stuff that led to this moment. But my hope is that he will say yes when I offer him a job here pretty soon. So I think the odds are good. But that's far from a done deal. So I'll take prayers on that one that things work out there. I'm in Florida and get weather alerts from Matt here. I appreciate that. That checker background messed it up. I'm sorry about that. I think honestly, if you go to Google Play and you type in Mississippi Live weather, it will pop up. I got it to do that. Someone's asking about Roku. I think midday or later today, the Roku app will drop. We're also on Amazon Fire Stick. We're on Google TV, I believe, as well. I don't think the Samsung app is done yet. And the problem is you start getting to those Vizio apps, there's all kinds of other stuff that goes from there. Let me see here. Other questions. So make sure everyone goes and see it. Yes, you have to set the location for your notifications. Appreciate that, Morgan. Looking here, just kind of through what you've got. It's in the Google Store on Android under Mississippi Live Weather. Good deal. I think that UV Someone's asking about UV. I think on the app that there is a place in there under Map Room, or where are we at? Under the, if you go on the home screen, let me click here. Let me see if I've got it. I don't have it back there anymore. I think if you scroll down, there's a place here called Map Room. Yeah, we tap that, and I feel like under current conditions we have that. If we don't, I'm going to write that down. We'll add UV index. Think, yeah, there we are. UV index is under there. So if you go, I'll go back and show it again on the home screen. Okay. So you scroll down on the home screen. There's a place where we have Map Room there, and I think it's current conditions. And then you scroll down, and there's UV index right there. So you can get the UV index, temperature change last 24 hours. A lot of good information here. One of the cool things I think will be really helpful when we get to winter weather is road temperatures. It's also a reminder, you start looking at these temperatures, of the reason why, of course, you don't want your pets. You don't want your pets walking on the black pavement, because it tells you how hot the temperature is as well. So this is cool. I think during winter weather, that's going to be really cool. Lots of good information we put on there as well. Just tons of stuff we're capable of, showing. Not just here, I got regional UV index as well, visibility, things like that. So, good question there. Let's see here. Will there be any TV outlet? At this point here, the answer is no, for a number of reasons. There's some technical reasons. There are some, certainly legal adjacent reasons that, for the time being, I'm going to stay away from traditional broadcast television. Um, but also partially because you're watching here, aren't you? And when you're going to severe weather, you'll be taking this with you there in all likelihood. So, yeah, that's part of the reason why I do. Someone wanted to know if we're still going to cover Northwest Alabama, and we will cover the counties that we have covered. But one of the groups that I have worked extensively with on this has been Tennessee Valley Weather, and they do the northern part of Alabama, southern Tennessee. And Northwest Alabama in particular, they do a spectacular job. My goal is not world domination here, because I don't think one person can do a large, or even one organization can do too large of an area. It is the reason why y'all are here right now, because there was outrage on the idea of an organization doing too large of an area. So there's going to be a lot of, hey, check them out, that you're going to have here. Nick Michaelis works in around the middle part of Louisiana, and there's going to be some other folks down in Louisiana. They'll be kind of covering storms before they get here. Sen Law Weather, CEN, like Central LA Weather, is going to be that group there. They do a great job. We're going to be kind of working in conjunction with them. You go into Alabama, there's going to be, I think numerous people start popping up over there. But right now in northern Alabama, Northwest Alabama in particular, Tennessee, Tennessee Valley Weather does a great job. I'm not going to step on their toes. I think we'd work better when we all work together. And so they do a great job. And my goal is not to take market share from them. So there will be a point over there where we turn it over, just simply because they do a great job. So someone says world domination. Not the goal here. God has obviously provided a very, very good situation for me and my family here to take care of you. And I want to do it's like the reason we have two children that are going back and forth between rooms right now, is because I didn't figure I'd be as great a dad if we had 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. I couldn't give them the time they deserved. And same thing with severe weather coverage. So if we go too big, we cannot give you, every one of you, the coverage that you deserve. That's not to say that if there's a major tornado on the ground that I'm going to stop and get off the air. Clearly, we're going to stick with it if we feel like we have viewers watching. I'm not going to abandon people. At the same time, on a daily basis, I'm not going to prioritize outside of the traditional area there in the northwest part of Alabama at this point here. But tornado days, we might keep going. But of course, we will also, to a certain extent, hand off to those people who are more well equipped to handle that area better. Let's see here what we've got. I appreciate so many nice comments here. Yeah, and someone mentions there are other weather streamers that do the whole United States. That is not what this is about. This is about North Mississippi initially, the entire state of Mississippi, perhaps eventually. But I do think if we go to the entire state of Mississippi, we do have the ability to do multiple programming streams on our Roku app. And that's what at that point we will do, where we will be covering, hopefully have different groups of meteorologists covering the state, working together on high impact moments of that, but making sure that we provide the best possible coverage. Because again, I don't want to dilute the coverage for any one group of individuals because you've come to expect something and you're here because you think you can get that. And so that's a huge part of what we're doing here. Weather call is still absolutely key to the alerts. I know that's something I can't. I'm not going to reference everything that we've already talked about over and over again, but I will every time that pops up probably mention keep your weather call. Things are it's possible it transitions, probable maybe it transitions over to what we're doing here. But even if it doesn't, keep your weather call. Do not get rid of weather call. It is worth it. The alerts on this app are faster than they've ever been before. But a phone call busts through do not disturb. Text messages do not. Let's see here. Will we be able to see your live broadcast on the app without using Facebook? Yes. So the cool thing about the app, if I just pop back up here, onto the app, and I click home screen there, you'll notice that the live stream is right there at the top. So while you can absolutely keep going to Facebook, I recommend that, obviously, if you want to do that, the live stream is always just right there on the very tip top of the app. So you'll notice it's also a little bit of a delay. To be crystal clear, that delay is between 20 and 30 seconds typically, and just is what it is. I can turn it to a lower latency, but it sometimes, and we do expect that the latency will get better over time. But yeah, you open up the app. I'll kill the app. I got to get it open there in the middle. Yep. Okay. I'll kill the app. And then if I reopen it, I mean, obviously you get splash screen. But then the first thing that pops up at the top, once it loads, is that live stream. So that is, when we built this, I wanted to make sure, because when we get the severe weather coverage just daily, people are like, I was looking for your live, but I couldn't find it. Well, now if you open up the app, you found it. It's that simple. Hopefully we do get bigger. The goal is, again, I know how many times I'm going to say this today, not world domination. Will it show pixel to pixel wind stuff and cool stuff like that? The app does not let you query the wind, unfortunately. It's not quite as good as like a radar scope or a radar omega, like one of those high level ones yet. There are things that are continuing to develop on this, and I'm getting very excited about that. Let me see here. Very, very blessed to have so many people supporting me and my family. We could not have done this without all your support. And it's just been very humbling. There are meteorologists all around the country that were affected by what came out earlier this year, and almost none of them had the support that you have given me and my family. It's hard to believe you're deserving of that. But you're being us, being we, being me, deserving of that. So thank you. Let's see here. If there's any other questions, can I add and overlay the radar of UAE index? No, you do have to go over into the app under the map room section. If you scroll down below the map, there's a map room section there. Do I have backup power if the power goes out in Tupelo? I have a limited amount of backup power, yes. But here's the cool thing about this. While I am streaming this into my main server here, I also have the ability, if I need to, stream the phone here in the old school pointing at my face, Facebook Live sort of way, to the main server that we upload through. So I can just take my phone and be walking down the street and yes, go through all the cool equipment I have here, but I also can just take my phone walking down the street and stream it directly to the server if I have to. So we do have a limited amount of backup power here. I don't have a full-blown generator. We are probably at some point going to add additional power. I've had some discussions about that in the future, hopefully talking about that more here in the future. But at this point, we have some to be able to cover that. And if push really comes to shove, then I can and send it right to the app directly from one of my phones here. So that's one of the really cool things about how flexible this is. There's about 10 bagajillion ways to do this. One of which is that I can just show you here. One of the things that I've loved doing over the last few years, and you can argue pioneering, and maybe that is overplaying the cards, is I've loved doing the, hey, let's go live from the middle of nowhere, right? And do the live weather broadcast with that. Wait for it to populate in my system here as it's kind of loading stuff in. But we can do the same. Put that in play. Put that there. Let's get that correct. And where are we at up here? Let's take this to, give me a moment to pull this up. I need to stop. Hey, y'all, could you be a little quieter, not yell, please? Thank you. Always going to be a dad, right? Let's see here. Begin with selected item. There we go. And yeah, so one of the cool things, we can do this kind of virtual reality stuff where we can go out on location and, I think we'll probably try to make it to the fireworks in Tupelo and see if we can go live from there. Maybe if we're lucky, be able to carry the fireworks from around the area this Friday if we can kind of make things work. But yeah, we can go out in the field and cover weather, like this, and be able to kind of control things and show radar, track storms, do all that kind of stuff, directly from here. So I think it's kind of a pretty cool thing. Oh, my clicker's in the other room, not in the other room, but sitting over there on the desk. So anyway, there's a lot of really cool things I think we can that we can continue to do here as we kind of learn what is possible. So there'll be a lot of live on location stuff here. This is actual current data that we'll be doing as well. So let me kind of switch this back over. Which mouse is the right mouse? Let's take that and we will move that back to there. Get rid of that. So anyway, let's see here. Best job in the world is being a dad, and I've been, prayers to my wife. I'm probably not going to talk as much about my wife on here as I did before because obviously she, for the first time in our marriage, is working for somebody different, and I do wish her and all the people over there a lot of success. And I would encourage you to continue to support them and local news in this area because I do think it is important. Um, Obviously, we'd appreciate that support as well. And as they make announcements as to how they're handling things forward, I know the staff there would appreciate all the support you'd be willing to give them. They are my family over there. They are my friends. Um, they are still my team, even though they're going to be, led by someone else who I think is going to do a spectacular job. Those are my people. And so don't let your love for me turn into side eye comments about them and to them. Okay. Because that hurts me. And I specifically told them, you start seeing people making mean comments, you tell me and I'll step in for them because that they are and will always be my team. This has never been about doing something against WTVA. This has always been about doing something for you and for my family. So leaving that place has been the hardest decision of my life for so many reasons. So. Well, I covered Northwest Mississippi. Yes, that is some place that maybe, I mean, you can see looking at the maps has probably been kind of obvious that we're going to be covering the western part of the state, Northwest Mississippi, as well. There's a couple reasons for that. I strongly believe the Delta is an underserved area in so many different ways. It's one of the most economically challenged places in the country. And there have been stations out there that have done the job for a number of years. I think that we can provide excellent coverage out there as well. And it benefits us because it allows you to be able to get get ready as storms are arriving more quickly, so that we can kind of prep you for what's coming. So I think it's twofold. It helps us to provide better coverage for our traditional area, uh, and it helps us to serve a community that could utilize additional options. So that's that. We are going to be covering West and Northwest Mississippi, basically going back to the Mississippi River and bringing it in from there. So, and someone mentioned radar coverage is horrible in the Delta. It absolutely is. You know, there's a lot of cool options going forward. I would love to talk to local policymakers as we become solvent, for lack of a better way to put it, we get advertising in place, and there's zillions of ways to advertise on this, especially that 24-hour weather channel. There's some cool static opportunities there. There's going to be commercial advertising both in our regular broadcasts and associated with our other hits and just in general. Um, once we get to the point we can pay our bills, I'd love to talk, and have discussions and have your support with policymakers on trying to find ways to fill some of these gaps. And that's one reason why what the North Mississippi Storm Chasers have done with their camera network is so important, because it has helped to fill that gap. I mean, just one example of that, they have 3 cameras in Grenada. I mean, that's, when you think about it, kind of insane. There are 3 different cameras that, while we don't have radar coverage there, we do have the ability. I can't zoom in on that. I got to get my other mouse. Again, I've been working at a different job for a while, so I'm trained on all of this, but still there's some idiosyncrasies we're working on here. But to be able to look all the different directions there in Grenada in a place that we know is solidly in a radar hole allows us to at least see if storms are producing tornadoes, what they're doing down closer to the surface. And I think that is a huge benefit. We do have a lot of cameras out there in the Delta as well. I mean, good shot here. This is Greenwood, an excellent viewpoint, 360-degree camera there on a tower. Um, Another one in Greenville. Um, of course, there are some MDOT cams out there as well. So a lot of different ways that we're going to be able to kind of see what's going on there. I think this one's Batesville, and we have one also in Crenshaw. Stan in particular with North Mississippi Storm Chasers, but there's a lot of folks over there have done an amazing job of setting this network up. We're going to be pairing up with them and likely, hopefully, to save a lot of lives. So that's part of the reason we've taken on the Delta, is we think that there's a way that we can provide coverage that can do that. We probably make an announcement with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers a little later on this week that we're hoping to combine forces on Facebook, to be able to possibly carry this feed there as well to reach more people. So they've been a huge partner for years and years and years. In many ways, some very good friends. So excited about what that has there. Who owns the new radar in Clarksdale? There's a group called, oh God, why am I blanking now all of a sudden? Oh, you had to do that to me. Weather Vision. Oh, I can't think of it now all of a sudden. I know it. I could have told you 5 minutes ago. I can't think of it now. Oh well. But there's a group out there. Possibly it's possible, but they have costs to cover, and their costs to access that radar are substantial. So it's not to say that maybe a deal couldn't be worked out. But in the near term, oh, it's right there on the tip of my tongue. On the near term, Climavision, that's what they're called. In the near term, that's probably not going to happen just because it's really expensive. Really, really, really expensive. So let's see here. Yeah, Climate Vision. Someone mentioned that. Thank you. Someone's asking if AI is going to change weather predicting. I think it can and it can't at the same time. I think that it will improve certain aspects of it. But it still is required. We still have to have interpretation. But there are some AI models that are doing a great job at certain things and terrible job others. And it's on legit forecasters to be able to figure out what is the situation, and to be able to sort through that, because there are real life impacts of that. So yeah. It's in Louisville. I probably don't have Louisville necessarily on there as well. And again, I'm working on I'm working on getting all the stuff up and going here. Working 8 hours a day here, and then 8 hours a day at the TV station. Has been a little exhausting. So as I keep joking behind the scenes, working 12 hours a day here is going to seem like a incredible time off, and we'll eventually get there. Someone mentions radar holes are truly dangerous. I agree. Let me think here. Other questions y'all might have. This was designed to, start off talking about the app. I said this at the very beginning, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you um, for supporting us. You've done so in uh, such an amazing way, and I appreciate that. There will eventually, by the way, be something. I just got this text message a second ago. You probably heard my phone like binging nonstop. We're at the Renaissance Center for Ideas. We're going to have a wrap there going up potentially later today. So that will change the way in which you can look in here. Um, uh, it's going to be a great space. I'm sure that we will have an opportunity to schedule tours, things like that for schools. Um, and hopefully be able to get all that into place at some point here. But yeah, just so humbled that you would support us like this. We hope we don't take that support lightly. And we promise to give you our best. There will be mess ups, guaranteed. I don't know what they're going to look like. I don't know how often they're going to happen. Hopefully not very often. But just know we will absolutely be giving you our best. Um, can we have Leo and Penny give the forecast? The funny thing is that a few weeks back, and again, there are still a few legal things that we are working on here with this, as we go through the setup process and everything. But there was a point a few weeks back. I'm like, what happens if I can't talk on camera for a year? And and so Penny and I tried a parakeeting thing where I went in the other room and I just said stuff in her ear, and she's actually really pretty good at repeating word for word exactly what I say. So who knows? Maybe the day will come where they do that.
What'd you say?
I was talking about your
Share
parakeeting.
my name.
Yes, I'm on Facebook Live, so But I was talking about yeah. Oh, you're walking away. Bye. She's very good at parakeeting. Uh, what I did. Let's see here. Supporting from New York, man. Thank you. Like that's unbelievable. Golly. Someone was mentioning please donate North Mississippi Storm Chasers. Yes, I would highly recommend NMSCS, North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters. NMSCAS .org. NMSCAS.org. And I'm sure one of them will put the link in there. They would absolutely take any support you'd be willing to give them. And I frankly initially hear with the response from advertisers, we're going to probably be able to pay the bills here. So if you're looking to support somebody, support them, because our ability to use those cameras comes from them, and they're a 501c3. So again, as a nonprofit, you can donate, and that's tax deductible. So and the money you donate will go to put up more of those cameras. They have a goal of putting them up all around the state. Hopefully getting as many as 60 up around the state. They have about 20 now. So they would take, any support you're willing to give them, or I'd say any support you're willing to give me. Haven't checked with, the finance lady in the Lawpon household, but I can tell you that that any support you'd be willing to give me, I would ask you at least at this stage to give them, so that they can continue to put these cameras up, because whether this works or doesn't work, those cameras can save lives, and we'll be able to for years in the future. But they cost money, and keeping them running costs money. So any donations that you are willing to give them, North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters, I would really appreciate that. That honestly would mean more to me than donating to me today. I might change my mind on that next time rents due, but I would definitely say, and I definitely encourage you, that even if it's $1, $5, it makes a big difference. So to keep those going, because internet's not free, hosting's not free, and they, as a 501c3, pay that. So it's tax deductible when it comes tax time. That you can take that stuff off as well. Anyway, There are a lot of good towers around there. Is there any way at the moment for technically savvy people to donate some manpower to help you? Honestly, I've got most of the technically savvy stuff done. I just saw Jonathan with the Storm Chasers there. Let me see if I can. I'm going to reply to that. Here is, nope, wrong computer. Here is the link. Hopefully that will work. I'm good. I'm good on that. It's the the funniest part about it is that I'm ADHD, which may or may not be obvious. And I looked at my wife this morning. I was like, of all days, I forgot to take a pill. Here we are. So doing the best we can on that. Trying to see here. Greetings from Indiana. Hopefully you're doing all right. I have my suit with the suspenders in the other room there. The funny thing, yeah, eventually we will cover DeSoto County. I see someone popping up there. The funny thing is that most days, if you've ever watched me, this is my uniform up until I go into work. A white T-shirt, and shorts and everything. There will be some days that I do updates like this. My goal is to usually do the updates. As professionally as possible. That is the level of professionalism that we have set and will continue to set. That's not to say that we have to 100% adhere to that. If there's a situation where time is more important than looks, then we can get on quickly. I will have a studio. I have most of a studio set up at home. One of our other meteorologists that we're bringing on board will have a studio in her home. And a direct connection. Someone was mentioning Northwest Mississippi. They're going to be based out of Northwest Mississippi. So this is truly going to become something that spans the northern part of the state on a number of different areas. So I'm really excited for the way in which we can expand this and at the same time provide, I think, excellent coverage. You will see suspenders more often than you did before, not necessarily because weather is as bad, because I got to be honest, the place I'm at here can get hot sometimes, and fans sometimes blow and make you can hear that fan noise. So my jackets get hot, so I might be just in suspenders a little more often, not because things are necessarily bad, but just because I get hot. I've reached that age. I'm thermal. Let's see here. Yes, someone says the people at WTBA are our people, and we'll never abandon them. Thank you for saying that, because they're quite literally my people. My person in this world still works there, and we'll go back to work tonight. And it'll be the first day that you don't see my face, but you do see hers. Going forward, that's not going to be easy on her, and it's not. This is not something that anybody at WTVA locally ever would have chosen to happen. I can tell you on January 1 this year, this is never something I thought would happen, but this is what God's led us. So do continue to support local news. They certainly need it and they deserve it, and they put on, I believe, a good product. I will absolutely be going live during severe weather. No question about that. So we will be covering weather adjacent news as part of this as staffing permits. Initially here, our staffing is not going to support a lot of that. But, a lot of times, during severe weather or after severe weather, we go out and we cover things. We'll continue to do that as well in those post-severe weather days. So yes, I do not know for sure what the future holds as far as additional content elements are concerned beyond weather. There's been an outcry for more news. There's been discussions with people about how that would look. And that is a possibility at some point in the future. But to be crystal clear, I anticipate the person in the news that I am the closest to continuing to do news where they're at as long as I can. It's anyway. So who knows? But God's idea on everything is perfect. No, you could go. You're good. Here, I'll turn it more this direction here. So let's see. What do we have? So other questions here. as we're trying to go through this. Will the weather app send notifications for tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings? Yes, it will. It will send those notifications. Unfortunately, let's get this pointed back at my face. I'll get my gizmo to kind of lock in on me so it kind of stays more centered on me. Give me a moment. Oh, man, I'm trying to get it here. I have a little bit more of a delay because this has been connected a little while. Oh, come on. Okay, connect right toward me. Gizmos. Okay, I see. I shouldn't have played with it. Yes, it will. It will be able to tell you if there are severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings, and it'll do those alerts. And they're pretty fast, all things considered. They're actually really, really fast. The watches are. Again, this is not. I'm trying to be very careful. I'm not trying to, put down anything at where I was at before, but the app is a little faster on watches and warnings. It's really fast. I've been extremely impressed with how fast alerts come out on this. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. Super excited. But again, I recommend you have those alerts on the app. But because again, it will not be my voice. I keep bumping this table. Sorry. It will not be my voice on those alerts. It'll be like a bloop kind of noise. At least initially. Hopefully, we can fix that down the road. But one of the weird things that people around here don't realize is there's very few people, even that contract with the company that have the app that WTVA has, that use the voice feature on it. That's a feature, but very few markets, very few TV stations actually use that. So it's not something that's requested very well, but clearly it's something that's been extremely well received by folks. I've trained a lot of dogs over the years to get into shelter with their owners. They hear my voice. I will continue covering Lamar County, Alabama. Someone was asking about that. Can you do a test alert? I probably can. What I was trying to figure out here. We get on the right screen. Nope, wrong mouse. My mice. I'm gonna have to color code these mice better. Let's try. Hold on. So let's see here. Step in there. Right in this one. Okay. Did it want me to put a link in there? Let's just go latest forecast video. Let's see if we do that. Give me a moment as I try to fix this save. If that didn't work. Still wrong. What am I missing here? There's something very obvious I'm missing. X. Let's just hit refresh on the whole thing. See if that will behave better. Okay, now let's this as a test. I'm wondering why my alert. Okay, saying no on that. If you want the complete honest truth, I haven't officially been trained on the test pushes. I'm sure the guy who's doing that is watching or has watched at least a portion of this, so we can have that discussion. Luckily, part of the reason this has launched now. There's a number of reasons this has launched now, but part of the reason is I did not want to launch during severe weather season, so any hiccups we have aren't with tornadoes on the line. So we're going into summer, and there will be storms, and there will be things that we have extensive discussions about. But I wanted to make sure that we could launch without. Wait. I know what the issue is. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Send to all. There we are. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so we got weather. Okay, this is a test. Okay, and we're going to send a message. You're going to get this message way before I say you're going to get this message, because again, there's the delay. So you can get an idea on what the delay is in 3, 2, 1, click. Oh no, I got to click. Okay, hold on. Guess I want to send it there. Okay, try again. 3, 2, 1, click. Okay, so and there we go. So that was about second and a half from my app here. Yeah, I see everyone saying got it. So it's fast. It really is pretty fast. Um, and that's one of the things I'm just so excited about. Is that it's just so stinking fast. And okay, now hold on. This is crazy here. I have to show you this because I hadn't noticed this until it pulled out. So yeah, it wanted me to, so I when it did it, it sent it for um the whole world. The world. Um, but one of the cool things on here, there's some people in Vietnam, or I mean like out there in Southeast Asia or Ethiopia. Like I can't wrap my brain around that. Holy moly. In this part of the country, there's 36,000 subscriber locations. Now, granted, you might have multiple people like with this, but that's insane, y'all. To say I'm honored and humbled is just, I mean, the understatement of a lifetime. I can't. This is not. I mean, I thought y'all would. I felt there was a chance that y'all would. But man. Anyway, wow. Someone said they didn't get it. Okay, if you did not get it, um, let's open it up. And so this is the test. And for those of you, I mean, hold on. I think it connected my AirPods to there. Hopefully you can still hear me. Let me turn off Bluetooth on this. I wonder if it's reconnected.
Yep, we're reconnected there. My daughter just walked out with an eye patch on. Don't know here. So if you did not get the alerts, there's a place in, I think you have to touch on the, I'm going to kill the app and reopen it so you can see it from the get-go. Okay, so I'm down to 6% on this. Is about to get bad. Okay, so in the upper corner there, you hit there's a little, I guess, location, little logo there, for lack of a better way to put it. You hit the down arrow there, and then you hit edit. And so then the alert preferences, if you just have all your alerts enabled, it should be on here. But one of the things to mention on that is if you don't have alerts enabled for your location, it's not gonna do it at all. You have to have, I think, at least one location, enabled. So you don't have to have it necessarily follow you, but you do want to at least add a location that you want it to monitor. And you can add multiple locations. When my daughter was at okay, go to settings. Oh, good. Well, it said something about I need to go to settings and enable something. So let's go through. This is what I wanted to see. Is I want to see any issues you could have. Okay, yeah. Set to while using app. I guess I'll click always. Okay. Um, but no, you have no depth perception because you've got an eye patch on. Welcome to my circus. Um, anyway, so you have to turn the alerts on for at least one location. But what was really cool, my daughter was at scout camp, and I'm getting alerts for rainfall approaching her location. They are lightning in close to her location. So it's really pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that it can do. Yeah, I'm just really excited about it. Okay, let's see what we hear. I need a family Vietnam cousin. So there you go. Uh, yes, I'm glad that someone over there is making sure to. Uh, I missed how to watch on TV. Okay, so for someone wanting to watch on the TV, we do have all the different apps available. I don't know that they're all rolled out yet. I had to be very careful, wanted to be very careful, wanted to be very respectful of my former employer to not have this all floating out there before I was done over there. And I want to be clear in front of God and all creation that I did not leak the website. I don't know how people found a way around it. I mean, I can't say it was locked up like Fort Knox, but certainly we had like a splash page and everything in front of it, and it was not searchable. I didn't think it was searchable. I'm 99% sure it wasn't searchable, and yet people got around it to get the website out there. That wasn't me. The 100% hand before God was not me. Um, so y'all are pretty crafty. Um, but because of that, the app didn't push until late last night. And we did not push the Roku and all those other apps until late as well to be respectful of my former employer as much as we could be. So those things should be pushing through the day. We'll be on Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV. But some of these others, like Samsung and a few of these others, they are in the works. I would not say I feel super confident that they're going to be ready quickly. For a stopgap between that, if you're in the app, and you've probably already figured this out, if you hold on, that's a text message I actually want to read. Um, okay. Um, uh, that was my consultant. If I have a consultant anyway, what a weird year. Um, okay. So if you can't put it on TV, well, this is the unfortunate thing is I can't put this on TV and make it behave well, like that, because when you put it full screen like that and you take it like that, it'll go sideways. But you see how at the top there, it's the wrong angle at this particular version of the app, and this is something that's in the work to get fixed. Um, it'll be cockeyed if you put it on TV. It'll be oddly vertical. So unfortunately, on the big screen, you can't take this on there yet. If you I do think it works right though if you do it from the website. Hold on, let's try this. So for example, if we minimize that there and we click on anything that gets us to the website, like Skycam Network, for example, right? It's going to then launch the website. If you click watch live on that, come on, don't look dumb. uh we're not gonna do it. Hold on, watch live. There we are. It's going to pop over to the YouTube feed. Again, this is not the newest phone in the history of the world, as you can probably imagine. I'm down to 4%, so it will die here in a moment. This one, plug it in. Well, anyway, that'll pop up. Point it over here. Anyway, that'll pop up, and you can make full screen. You may go on the TV that using AirPlay, or Screen Share. Yeah, it's very unhappy. So before it goes completely unhappy, there's one more app-related thing I do want to show you that I think is so cool. Um, so this has widgets, and Leo was so excited about widgets. And the widgets are going to get a lot better going forward. Um, but you can, expand it to where it has, your forecast for the next few days. You can make it, I mean, if you want to go really big, you can go really big with it. But you press and hold it. So, okay, so to get widgets, let's talk about that for a second. So to get widgets, you press and hold it, and then you choose one of these things at the top there, the different sizes, right? And so you tap, whichever one you want, and it'll be about that size. And then there's different information to come in, like this shows current conditions are clear in 86, and it has the day-by-day forecast. One of the really cool things about this is I have a forecast editor on our system here that allows me to go in and independently edit, um, the forecast for a bunch of different locations, and then adjust, the heat index to be the orange on there, the temperature. But the way in which one of the things will show up on here on the daily temperature, and again, I'm going to break this just to show you I can break this. I'm going to take today's temperature up to 103. That's clearly not the temperature, and I really hope I remember um, to change that here in a minute. Okay, so then I'm going to click save on that. In a minute here, and it might take it a couple minutes, that will update the forecast right there on the app. It's fairly quick, but it's not instantaneous. It has to go to the server, has to then ping from there, and then your phone has to pull it. And yeah, my phone's really upset that it is not. It's really upset that it needs power. I mean, this is an old. Yeah, there we are. Okay, look at the temperature for Thursday on there. Right, it says the temperature on Thursday is going to be 103. That's how fast this is. So that's one of the cool things about the system is I can change it on here and it will change it in your app as well. So let's see if it changes it on the widget then. See, that tells me the widget might not update immediately. It'll shrink it and see if that'll force an update. Let's make it bigger. Well, so the widget doesn't update, and that might be an iOS thing that the widgets only can update so often for battery power. They do that kind of stuff. But as you saw when we looked at the daily forecast, it has the Thursday temperature as 103 degrees. So there you go. So again, so many cool features of this and what it can do. I'm going to reset that so that someone doesn't go, your app is messed up. Yeah, if it says 103, it's absolutely messed up. So let's see here. Yeah, so there are a couple of cool widgets. Oh, yeah, and it will go picture in picture, as you've probably already figured out, as you're scrolling around to go at other places if you have your live stream up and going. So I think that's kind of cool. There will eventually be, anyway, I'm not going to tease something that might not make it in the next release, but the next release, look for some really cool things with the widgets. If you hit edit widget, it'll also give you, I'm going to make, I guess, the video go away. I know you can choose your location there, but you can also, so you can have multiple locations that show up there. Hold on, but there's also, how do I make this go away? X in the corner, there we are. Let's tap behind it there. You can also change the type of data that shows up there. I think when it's smaller is where you're able to do that. Yeah, okay. I know you can, anyway, I gotta learn it too. But it's pretty cool that we have that. Okay, I'll get back to comments. Sorry, I've been on this for a little bit. Let's see what we have here. Not able to view the interactive radar. Whenever I click it on my app, it automatically closes. What am I doing wrong? Anna, I'm gonna do my best to try to figure that out. First question I'd ask Anna is if you could send me an email to info@msliveweather.com, specifically mention your name, uh, tell me what kind of phone you have, what version of software you're on. I'll send that to the developer. We'll see what we can do. Um, so the Roku app I don't think has dropped yet. When it drops, you're going to want to search for Mississippi Live. Roku's weird that if you say the word weather behind it, it'll be like, we don't do weather. I don't want the weather. I want Mississippi Live weather. It's part of a brand. Okay. So the unfortunate thing is that when it comes to Roku, you're going to have to say just Mississippi Live, and then it should pull it up from there. So if you search Mississippi Live really on any of the platforms, that's what will come up. But in particular on Roku, I can't speak to the others because we've just always been a Roku family. It's yeah. Let's see what we have here real quick. If there's any other questions, I probably should. Um, I think the light and dark feature on the widgets is going to be related to whether your phone is set up for light or dark mode at that point in time there. I'm gonna see if we have any more questions, and I think we'll probably go ahead and shut this down. Um, Hold on, I haven't tested it on my Apple Watch. Now that I want to see as well. Hold on, I'm not showing it on there. I believe you. Or maybe you got the test alert on your Apple Watch. Okay, I was like, did we have an Apple Watch part of this? At some point we will have merch. Comments on the app. You could send those to info at msliveweather.com, but be aware that it's just me and I am so far behind. So we will try to get to where we're at. Yeah, so it's not showing up on Roku yet. Fire Stick, all those hopefully should be coming here very, very soon. We've pushed those to the developers. It's in their hands. So we'll see. Well, thank you all so much for this. We will obviously be covering hurricane season. Um, I I have a trip planned to Canada that was set up with my former employer, so we will be going on that here in a few weeks. But we will have all the shifts covered, and I can go live from up there if we need to. That's the cool thing about this. Um, One thing that we've always done and one thing I will continue to do, especially on the informal discussions, is I'm going to pray. This is not going to turn into a religious channel, so to speak. But as I've said before, and I'll say again, my faith is clearly a part of who I am. I don't say that to offend anybody. But I would not be sitting here if God hadn't um, practically plucked me up by between my shoulders like uh like a cat, carrying her kitten someplace. um so anyway, I owe all this to him, and I couldn't have done any of it without him. 100%. And there's just so many other people to thank, but anyway. um God, you're overwhelming. Thank you. Thank you for these people. I know that taking care of them is an immense responsibility. um Thank you for entrusting me with that opportunity. Thank you for the many opportunities to partner with folks around here um, to produce this product. God, just help me to not let these people down, to never take for granted what you have done. And God, I just trust you that you will lead me appropriately going forward. Uh, just thank you. And be with those people at WTVA that are not having their best day at work ever. Um, Strengthen them, guide them, and especially my wife. Strengthen her, guide her in this time. Help me be a good dad, um, and a good boss as time comes. You know what I really need to say right now. Be here with me. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, we will see you at 5 o'clock. I'll look a little different there. Hopefully, we'll have a decent forecast for you. We look toward the 4th. And if you're just one of those people that's going to be in and out as we get closer to the holiday, excited to have you on board. And we'll talk to y'all soon. I'll put up the how to find the app one more time. I'm gonna have to double check that Android link again. Where's my mouse at? Uh, but we'll get things like that figured out as we kind of smooth things out eventually here. All right. We'll talk to y'all later.
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.